Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, we will be taking a look on the function named assign. We will see how we can take some input values or even the input variable and assign it to some other variable and then use that value for further development of the algorithm. This is included under the logical classification mathematical classification. This is the first function of this series, and in coming sessions we will also consider the calculation function and then the calculation expression. So today it's the turn of the assign function. We will head to the Visual JForex board now, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA to make our life easier. You will find it listed amongst mathematical components. Here it is. This is fairly easy to understand, and if you have been coding or if you have some familiarity with the coding, this concept might be well familiar with you. But even if you are not, this is easy to understand. What happens here is we assign some particular value or even the existing variable, which might be the product of some other indicator or some calculation. So for example, we will be also taking random I'm taking random values, not anything in particular. So let us take any value. What we will do is we will take these other indicator blocks first, because we need to generate the values first and then we can assign those values. So here, coming to the indicator blocks, we can even do some calculations, and the result of that can also be assigned to new variable, which we can then later on access again as and when the requirement arises. So here we have taken two indicator blocks and we have the output values, and suppose if in the structure later on you want to access the value, but if you are working with multiple blocks of the same indicator, then you might not be able to remember and distinguish one another. So you want to take in a particular value. Suppose in this case we want to take this positive 14 value, and we remember that this is derived from this particular combination of the inputs. And now for designing the structure, suppose if we want this condition, this particular condition, to be the requirement before the buy trade happens, so we name it the prerequisite for buy trade, so we name it PBT. And now we want to use this assigned value for setting another if condition. Suppose we take one logical block, if else. This is taking too much time. Okay, we got it. Now as we have shortlisted that condition to be the prerequisite buy trade condition, we take the input value. So we are using now this particular variable, and it will be easily distinguishable from another output values, even if we are working with the multiple awesome indicator blocks. Suppose if we want multiple values to be generated over different input components, and we to some extent we do some permutation combination, we change the input values and generate multiple awesome oscillator indicator values, and then it will be easier for us if we assign those values or any value of particular interest to some new variable with a distinguishable name, and then we can easily access that value and we can write some particular condition using that output value. Or if suppose you are not using the variable created, but you want to take simply the input value. Suppose now again let us take one more assign block, and here I am now assigning the, we will be taking the double value. Okay, let me check if it is double or this parameter. Wait a minute. Okay, alright, this is double. We want this to be the double only. Now we are taking another value. We are taking it as 15, and this is the assigned value. And we will name a new variable. Suppose we want to name it as upper limit for buy trade. Okay, ULBT. And what we want to do is we want the, we needed this to be greater. Okay, and now we want the prerequisite for buy trade to be less than the ULBT. Now we have assigned this value. We can take another logical block and set the condition. So here this job becomes much easier, and we are able to easily understand what we have done. Instead of assigning the plain value, we always know what is happening, and suppose if someone else is using our code, he will be able to instantly recognize what has been gone in, what has been the idea behind this particular condition. So that also makes the, it makes it easier to understand the functionality, the set condition. Here we take this and we take this, and then we will set the condition. And whenever we are doing further addition of the indicators or any components, we can simply take this condition that the first input should be less than the second input, and we will be able to define the requirement as we want it. So this is how this assign function works. You can assign. So here also you will find bit of description given. So if we take the empty block, it is taking a bit more time to load. Okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, we will use, okay, we got this new function assign, and here we will set the condition again. Now whenever you feel confused, you want some further clarity, you can simply access this description. Here you will have the description provided, and it is fairly easy to understand. And we simply take any input. It can be the value, input value, single value, or it can even be a variable, and then we assign it to some new variable which we have to define, and then that assigned value can be accessed whenever the requirement arises simply by taking that variable for assign the variable for setting the further conditions or calculations. Even we can use these assigned values to carry out calculation. The calculation blocks we will be seeing in next session. So by then you will get more clarity on how the system works. So that's it from my side, and I would suggest that you do enough of practice and get familiar with the functionality of these all the components which we have seen so far. And we have already done with the indicators, so you can start building your own. You can try out some combinations and see if you are able to arrive at profitable system profitable algorithms using the material which we have used so far, and that will give you more clarity. And also if you are able to build an profitable algorithm, then it will keep money making money for you also. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.